Good morning, this is Falcon's Frontier, exploring landscapes of pure inspiration. As we are cast once more, several hundred years, into the wondrous past, exploring the expertly crafted world of medieval Bohemia. In this presentation, we'll have moments of solitude, and we'll explore the forests near Rattay. We'll continue to absorb, both be captivated by the sensories, visual and auditory splendours, and try to capture the olfactory senses and tactile senses on the journey. So, let's begin. We'll have a look at the map, as we can see, and it's sure that we could place the marker near, actually, deep within the forests and see what we can explore and uncover and see how far our journey will take us. The expertly drawn map, both in the illustrations and the displays of the districts, the castles, the towns, and various points of interest, but our main focus is to explore the forest. After that, we're going to head up away from Rattay, and head up into the depth of some of the more unexplored areas of this medieval land. Much apologies for the intermittent panning of the character. But we begin our journey trek through the splendours, sights and sounds, smells of this early morning trek in the crisp, clean, refreshing light of medieval air. Let's continue the journey. I've placed markers we could see up through the forest. And get that visual splendour of the very lush, very textured, dense green forests that we're going to explore, especially the soundscapes and the woodland creatures as well. The viewpoint of the town of Rattay. This very quiet day, a day for perfect sightseeing and capturing moments and ambience. Such a wide range of both flora and fauna, part of this journey as well. As we hear the changing soundscapes now of this medieval world, devoid of any machinery, devoid of any industrialized processes from pre-industrial revolutions of production, where there was an abundance of a different kind, patience and labour, and first-hand labour, and sourcing, and trying to exist within a world, a pre-synthetic world, full of creativity, patience, endurance, and spaces of intrigue. So coupled as well, as we're getting closer to the forest, the fragrances of the forest as we try to capture both visual and auditory splendours, but sensory splendours as well. You can also feel the essence of the fragrance of the forest. And the clean, crisp air being filtered even more, carrying through from genuses of different types of plant life, from heathers and chamomile to buttercups. And indeed, flowers of a different kind, all used to apply thistle as well, all used as a alternative. It was the medicine cabinet of those days, from herbalism to botany, from astronomy to indeed astrology to astronomy, and from alchemy to chemistry, stepping stones of the world steeped in both mythology, legend, and just outside of the scope, where stories begin to evolve and fossilize into capturing the imagination and turning stories into history and sources of folklore. We have the opportunity as well to wander through this perfectly rendered medieval world. Capturing moments of solitude as well, as we try to frame viewpoints and spaces, capturing moments of inspiration as we wander through the crisp light warning spaces of this Rattay woodland. Try and reduce the not forgetting to take a crisp, clear, full lungful of rejuvenating morning, unpolluted medieval air. Unpolluted, your contrails in the sky, the only masters of the sky, the organic kind. We'll see how far we can get through such an incredible mix of both deciduous, woodiferous, fusion of dense forests, succulent plants, all into this symphony of display. A display that captures the senses and propels us even further with a desire to explore and capture moments. The forest undisturbed. A spectacular sight of the town of Rattay in the distance, and beyond that, valleys, woodland spaces, castles, and different environments that we hope to explore as we traverse and absorb. Pleasant soundscapes. As our olfactory bulbs, our sense of smell absorbs the impressive array of fragrances that are carried through by the light prevailing winds that filter through the trees, branches, leaves, giving that unmistakable forest fragrance. So we have a small shelter here, constructed. Impressive sight. And such were the craft of both. A fusion between the pursuit of preaching and priesthood, and at that time the opposite ends, such as witchcraft and practices that were frowned upon. Such was the poignant fulcrum of dependency, amongst opposing reality of a belief, the gods, of the reality of the poetry that exists beyond that. Something impressive. Let's continue the journey. We're just finding where we can go. We haven't been to this part before. We just want to see as we explore down this path. Blue hue of the sky as well, coupled with the fusion of these different trees, different genus of trees, such an incredible array on display here. Another impressive sight as well. The light dancing as the leaves are gently respond to the wind. The dance of light and shadow, the various shrubbery and bushes that exist in and around this space. Come and emerge into a little hamlet here. An interplay between so many spaces, shadow and light, fresh air and silence. Such was the ambience at that time. An impressive willow here. It's a wondrous thing to see these trees actually was in fact to head on through the woods, so I think what we'll try to do, we'll try and make a way through the woods, perhaps off the path, but there's a risk that we might fall. Let's see what we can try and do as we try to capture moments, especially try and capture every morsel of visual splendor, both in the landscapes, soundscapes, and civilization. Let's continue on up, whilst being mindful of trying to pan around too fast or too slow, just enough to get. I think this way is blocked. I'm able to climb up that way. So I wonder if there's another pathway. Try and access the forest. Always remembering to take that lungful. Clean, crisp, invigorating, refreshing, rejuvenating medieval forest air. Heading to the marker, I see we're getting closer to it. It was a wondrous sight as well to see the rising, standing at the foot of a tree, especially when it's rendered in such great detail. And the light of the sky, the blue hue of the atmosphere filtering down and capturing these moments. Such as the essence of these spaces, both in the oppressive sight now is the dense thicket, the trees so dense that they hardly letting any light in through them, but it is creating a spectacular scene of the dance of light and shadow hidden through the trees and the branches as we continue. We'll see if we could try to get to that marker. Why? Getting a real hit. Fragrance now. The true forest fragrance. Unmistakable at that time. Unpolluted world. To which we're exploring. There's Rattay Woods. So we've actually entered into a recognised part of Rattay, the spectacular sight, pushing away the branches as we try and negotiate ourselves through. Love the opportunity to observe these trees stripped of their branches and leaves, or mostly leaves, and standing at the foot of them whilst the sun is in the background. No doubt we might catch some fauna as well as we wander through, but let's see. If you're able to capture sight of these spectacular spaces. The light of the sun coming through. Perhaps now we'll have a moment of reflective solitude. Alas, we have our characters, we have a viewpoint which inadvertently starts to pan, but I believe it just stops and returns. So, with that consideration, we'll see if we can capture this moment of elegance and solitude. Woodland to castles, from agriculture to architecture, nobility to peasantry, from armourers to swordsmiths, from scholars to vagabonds, from preachers to priests, and from kings to knights, all presented in a symphony of senses, experiences, and spaces in this medieval world, so expertly brought to us as we traverse and be enlightened as our senses respond to this tentative world in which we can observe history through the conduit of these spaces, a world steeped in mythology and legend, a world into which we refer to as scribes, set into moonlit courtyards under the veil of candlelight, drawing the ink over aged parchment as the parchment itself absorbs the movement of the scribe as it's drawn across the page, creating indelible marks of wondrous history, steeped into time for future, for prosperity, and revealing a life that was filled with intrigue, creativity, mystery, and wonder, all of which, here and now, we are able to bear witness. some light prose, perhaps, to befit our journey through these spaces, hopefully trigger a sense of inspiration. Let's continue the journey. I'm moving coniferous trees now, more the coniferous kind. So another change in scenery, which is quite spectacular. From fell trees to, indeed, one not sure what individuals lurk within the core of the forest, but we might see some woodland creatures, perhaps some deer, or indeed some rabbits. Such an impressive degree of fauna represented in these environments. As we venture deeper into the core of the forest. Trying to find both an inflection and a pace, absorb as much as we can within the time that we have. Trying to create a space of a well, if you like, perhaps, of inspiration that can be drawn upon. And there we have the first of our woodland creatures, curious to find out who we are. The impressive moment. The light rays of the sun now being broken by the branches of the trees, coupled with a symphony and the canopies of birdsong. And our character, somewhere deep within the forests of Rattay, deep within time and history. Let us continue the journey. The impressive thing to note are the changing soundscapes from the windy trees down below now seem to be overtaken by a symphony of birdsong. The wondrous art of ornithology, if you've had the opportunity to practice it. To the wondrous displays, certainly the courtship displays of the birds of paradise that dance, reflecting in their iridescent wings the light of the sun as they continue the game, and their intents to pursue their line and capture the ever-evolving perpetual machine of evolution, on which we are part of. Impressive sight here, the light of the sun now coming through the tree, breaking through the branches. What a spectacular sight. Let's see if we can get over this branch here, or this trunk. Reminded this is actually only one part of the entirety of this landscape. There are also other parts as well, in which we'll explore both castles and towns. But I think they all have their own wondrous characteristics, histories, purposes, all adorned with the intricate details that are so wonderfully intertwined into this product of our creativity. Let's walk towards the light. And there, as we walk towards the light, discovering a wondrous thing, a wondrous synergy of both the senses being driven towards the purity of the light, filtering through this captivating world of story and legend, of spaces, patience, creativity, of a time now lost in history. And there, beyond in the distance, we could see the valleys and spaces that we're going to explore, and we will explore them, capturing morsels of essence and ambience as much as we can. And we'll end now on this woodland trek with the light of the setting sun, the wondrous natural spaces of beauty and elegance, of captivating moments of inspiration. We'll leave you with that sight as we conclude the journey. This is Falcon's Frontier, as always, hoping that you've enjoyed the journey, wishing you a safe and inspirational journey onwards. Until our next adventure, which will be again up through those valleys, away and continuing journey from Rattay to see what we can uncover. All that's left to say is goodbye for now.